Climate change, global conflicts, and the pandemic have dramatically changed the world, especially for the poor and vulnerable. More crises are expected to follow, in higher frequency and more intensity. Therefore, we must take action to prepare for, mitigate, and respond to them. The COVID-19 pandemic has pushed 75 to 80 million more people into extreme poverty in 2020. Certain groups were left more vulnerable than others, including women, informal workers, youth, and migrants. We need to expand our social protection coverage to more people, while addressing the structural inequalities. The number of older persons is also increasing, with the share of people aged 60 and above in the region expected to triple between 2010 and 2050, reaching close to 1.3 billion people. Countries need to develop comprehensive systems that cover a wide range of economic and social risks throughout an individual's life cycle. New forms of work has given rise to the gig economy with limited security. Low-skilled workers suffered large losses in employment and income. The region needs to expand social insurance coverage for workers in the informal and gig economy to cope with unemployment, illness, disability, and old age. The Asia-Pacific region is the most vulnerable to climate change risks in the world. Climate change is affecting people across the socioeconomic spectrum, often in catastrophic ways. We need sustainable income to finance programs that are innovative and cost-effective to develop people's resilience and prepare them to cope with and adapt to shocks. The Asian Development Bank, in close collaboration with partner agencies, is supporting its developing member countries to build inclusive policies and programs, facilitate integrated and cross-sector solutions, and enhance the adaptiveness and resilience of social protection systems in the region. Contributing to the global knowledge base, ADB offers innovative knowledge solutions and training to develop social protection systems, policies and programs, cultivate partnerships, and leverage sustainable financing, and monitor and report on social protection programs and trends in the region. Social protection is a key policy instrument that can help reduce poverty and inequality, as well as protect vulnerable groups through major shocks and transitions, such as an aging society, rapid digital transformation, and the changing nature of jobs and labor markets in the region. Asia and the Pacific continues to be one of the most vulnerable and disaster-prone regions of the world, with a large number of poor and vulnerable groups who disproportionately bear the brunt of the crises. The region needs collective, strategic action to strengthen social protection systems as a key enabler towards sustainable and inclusive development.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Asia Pacific Social Protection Week 2023. I'm Mitzi Borromeo, and it is a great privilege and honor to be your Master of Ceremonies, or MC, this week. I work in the field of media and communications, broadcast journalism. Social protection is a theme that underpins much of my work, related to sustainability and popular education. So I am very eager to learn from all of you and with you all from this important dialogue as we ponder social protection in a changing world. So we have a very diverse group of people here gathered today. All of you, thank you for joining us today. We have global and country social protection experts and practitioners, including decision makers from developing Asia and Pacific countries, to discuss the challenges and opportunities related to the role of social protection in a post-COVID world. We also have other participants joining us online from around the world in this hybrid event. And we also have sign language interpreters to make the event more accessible. Please note that you may check the Events Air app to check the schedules and the rooms for any details for this week. And for those with us here at ADB, if you do have questions, if you need assistance, we do have ushers stationed all around to help you. You may approach them or the concierge desk for help or for more information. So we look forward to a very productive and fruitful exchange with all of you this week. Now for the welcome remarks, please welcome Ms. Fatima Yasmin, Vice President for Sectors and Themes at ADB.
Distinguished guests, colleagues, and gentlemen, good morning and very warm welcome to the participants of the third Asia Pacific Social Protection Week. This year's theme is Social Protection in the Changing World. The conference brings together a wide range of global and regional policymakers, practitioners, and development partners to engage in spirited dialogue, knowledge sharing, and networking. The previous event in 2016 and 2019 were also important venues for discussing emerging issues, policy perennial challenges, and sharing solutions. I want to emphasize that this conference has been built on a foundation of partnership. In the room, we have distinguished colleagues from 33 developing member countries, all engaged in advancing and implementing social protection system in the region. 26 development partners working on social protection have collaborated with us to curate the sessions and bringing together participants and resource persons. Distinguished guests, we thank each of you for tapping the resources, networks, and capacities of your countries and the development communities to ensure that this room is filled and that we have a rich and engaging program. This is a good example of the power of partnerships and the importance of collaborative efforts. By coming together, you are all contributing to the development of stronger and more agile social protection system in our region, which will be better equipped to tackle the ever-evolving challenges of our changing world. Indeed, the world has changed dramatically since the last conference in 2019. The events of the last few years have highlighted the critical need for social protection and the importance of developing adaptive and shock-responsive systems. The COVID-19 pandemic reshaped this world, exposed vulnerabilities in social protection ecosystems. It has forced us to reevaluate the fundamental role of social protection plays in lives of people, especially vulnerables. Social protection forms a critical pillar of the global response to the pandemic. We have learned many lessons, including, importantly, that those who were well prepared fared better. However, it is important to note that COVID-19 is not the only challenge we are dealing with. The world has faced a series of crises leading to disruptions in the global supply chains, rising fuel and commodity prices, and the escalating frequency of climate-related disasters. Through it all, social protection has emerged as a vital instrument safeguarding our most vulnerable populations. It can provide short-term crisis response, and it can also enable pathway to long-term resilience building, human capital development, and well-being. Distinguished participants, you all know that our region is facing additional and profound challenges requiring immediate attention, long-term vision, and strategic planning from policymakers and practitioners. These include adaptive to rapid population aging, addressing the impact of evolving technology, job and labor markets, and the pressing need to transition to low-carbon economies. Social protection systems have a critical role to play in supporting the region's population to navigate through such transitions. Many of the country assistance pipelines have health, education, and social protection projects that help DMCs to cope with the shocks induced by the pandemic and build more robust systems going forward. Social protection has immense potential to contribute to climate change action and to support achieving a just transition for all to more sustainable and green economies. As the climate bank for Asia and the Pacific, this is an area of increasing focus in our lending and technical assistance. In the last year, we have launched two important initiatives. The first is the Climate Resilient Partnership Program, which aims to help scale up investments in climate adaptation, especially at the community level, targeting the nexus between climate change, poverty, and gender equality. This will be a unique source of support for adaptive and shock-responsive social protection initiative in eligible countries. The second program is the Just Transition Platform, which was announced last November 2022 at the COP27. The platform aims to help countries implement practical, just transition approaches to meet their goals under the Paris Agreement and ensure that the benefits of the shift to low-carbon, resilient economies are shared equally, and no individual, community, or region is left behind. Social protection programs will play a critical role in ensuring the just transition, and this support will help our development member countries strategically plan, implement, and finance action. This program reflects priorities in the ADB's new operating model to embed climate action across our operations, develop evidence-based and innovative solutions, be more agile and collaborative, and identify opportunities for better private sector engagement. Looking forward, let me highlight 4 areas that require attention. First, significant social protection coverage gaps persist, leaving many without adequate support. Developing comprehensive and inclusive systems that can address the need and range of risks across the life cycle remains at utmost priority. Our long-term partnerships in countries such the Philippines supporting the Pantawide Pamilyang Filipino program for peace, and through successive loans and grants in Mongolia to strengthen systems and expand coverage are examples of such efforts. Second, the need for adaptive and shock-responsive systems is paramount. Designing context-specific programs is essential to building adaptive capacity and resilience. We are working with a Benazir income support program in Pakistan to develop the evidence base on climate vulnerability and social protection, and with the government of Bangladesh to strengthen climate resilience through a new graduation program targeting the most vulnerables. Third, system strengthening throughout the social protection value chain, from planning to delivery and monitoring and evaluation, is critical to meeting the evolving needs and demands of our diverse populations. Digitization can play a big role in building efficiencies and ensuring inclusion. Through our partnership with German International Cooperation Agency, GIZ, we are actively engaged in 9 countries in the region on strengthening digital social protection system. For example, Armenia, we are supporting the development of inclusive information management system and service delivery. And lastly, supporting countries to develop strategies for sustainable financing of social protection, including through domestic resource mobilization, will be a critical to improving coverage and strengthening social protection system. Dear participants, the challenges in our changing world are immense. Our task is to build on the innovation that has happened, to share lessons and help each other to leap forward. I wish you a very stimulating week, thinking through what is possible and shaping the future of social protection system in the region. Let us continue to work in partnership to accelerate the social protection agenda and create a wider umbrella of social protection to secure the future of Asia and the Pacific. Thank you all for your participation and engagement. And once again, welcome to the Asia Pacific Social Protection Week 2023. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Vice President Fatima Yasmin. You've clearly highlighted the significance of this event and the power of partnerships, the importance of being here together so we can move this agenda forward. Now for an overview of this very special week, let me introduce Wendy Walker. She is the Director of the Human and Social Development Sector of ADB and the Practice Director for the Social Protection Team.
Thank you, Mitzi, and good morning, everybody, and a really warm welcome to ADB. It's a great pleasure to see you finally here and the room full, and everybody ready for the next 3 days. I know that many of you have traveled very far distances, and we really appreciate the effort that you've made to be here today. So as VP Yasmin just said, this is the 3rd time that the Asia and Pacific Social Protection Week has been held. The first event was back in 2019, and it was held just after the establishment of the SDGs. They provided an important framing for the conference, as much of the discussion focused on how to translate those ambitious goals, and particularly goal number 1, into action and change on the ground. One of the speakers in that conference was Santiago Levy, who will be providing our keynote address for today. In 2016, he narrated the story of how Latin America countries managed to expand their social assistance programs and the human capital impacts that they created. His focus was on providing lessons that Asia and Pacific could learn from, as many countries in the region were then at different stages of expanding their social assistance programs, strengthening their social registries, and other fundamental aspects of systems building. 3 years later, we convened again in 2019 and brought forward the discussions and drilled down into different dimensions, such as addressing financing gaps, developing adaptive and shock responsive systems, and the importance of gender dimensions and a focus on inclusion in social protection programming. We celebrated the ILO's centenary and new topics such as the impacts of the changing world of work, the implications of social protection systems from rapid aging in the region, and the promise and challenges of digitalization and the importance of economic inclusion programs were all taken up in different sessions, and I think many of you who were there then in 2019 are also here today. So here we are in 2023. In the years between, we have witnessed the largest global shock and seen the greatest amount of activity and support to social protection. The evidence is clear that these programs are critical for the resilience of the region. So it's timely that we meet now and take a look back at what has been learned, but also very much look forward. And like many of the institutions or organizations in the room, at ADB, we've developed a new social protection directional guide to help us to navigate the way forward, identify areas for support, and focus our efforts on impact. It has three strategic objectives, which are reflected in the program this week and have guided the program this week. Developing comprehensive policies and systems, integrating solutions with amplified development impacts, and adaptive and shock responsive systems. So let me very quickly orient you to the program and to the agenda. We have 3 days, 27 sessions, almost 400 of you in the room and another 300 tapping in online. 33 countries and 26 development partners have come together. Our objective is to learn from each other, reflect, and think forward. We'll start each day with a keynote address, and these aim to kickstart our thinking with a set of ideas and priorities. They also aim to lift our eyes beyond the region, to learn about what is happening elsewhere, and global initiatives and priorities that can be tapped to guide our way forward. The keynotes are then followed by a set of plenary panels, which will bring together policymakers and external experts. These plenaries will build on the keynotes and share specific country-level experience. And then our afternoons will be spent in concurrent sessions covering a wide range of topics. You're going to find a huge buffet to choose from, made possible by the collaboration of everybody in the room. In these sessions, we hope that you'll actively engage and debate with participation from all. So we've also tried to build in plenty of time for networking each day and a marketplace to access information and speak to experts. This is our first APSP post-COVID, and for many, it may be the first time that you've traveled in a long time. So let's make the most of this opportunity face-to-face to engage fully and not be limited to the brief discussion in a webinar or an online meeting. I am constantly amazed at meeting people for the first time here that I've known for the last few years. Some are tall, some are short. Won't say anything else. But with this brief orientation, I really welcome you. And now, let's get started. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Wendy Walker, for orienting us on this week. It indeed is a very exciting time.